You're listening to the Midwest Coven Cast. I'm Susie.
I'm Sam.
And I'm Marilyn.
We're three modern pagans stumbling through life and honoring our craft.
Join us in conversations about, well,
just about everything.
And we hope that you enjoy this week's episode. Welcome back, Coven. We have an exciting episode today.
We do have an exciting episode today.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm Sam, by the way. Who are y'all?
And I'm Marilyn.
I'm Susie.
And
we have another person with us today.
We do? What?
That's why we're so
My name is Meghan. I live in a neighboring state over from them.
Yay!
Welcome,
Meghan, to our podcast as our first guest.
You are officially our first guest.
Mm-hmm. I broke the podcast guest cherry. So
yes, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a big moment
for all of us.
Yes.
Another thing for our listeners.
I mean, that is a virginity that I can get behind.
Oh, did you light it already?
Oh, so we brought back our ritual candle from season 1, and we actually have it lit this time because we forgot to do that on our last episode.
We totally did. I thought about that.
So in our first episode, we were doing our witch kit giveaway, and so we were like so hyper focused on like we need to get this contest done. What are we doing to like?
I heard that.
I'm surprised we survived to season 2. That's the most shocking.
I mean, you just have to get over a few humps, and then.
Yeah,
right.
You know, I've been playing with a D&D game for like 5 years now. The same people, and I'm still not quite sure how we're not dead yet.
How you got it together?
I thought for sure we would have fought a lot more by now. I mean, we're pretty peaceful together, but I know that there are some ideological differences between some of us.
Well, I mean, even though we're family, we weren't close family before this. It's not like we hung out. We were just like, we randomly came together and we're like, let's start a business. And then there it was.
Right.
Well, I mean, like, we always got along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm now getting used to the Zoom over stuff because, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well,
the corona.
Yeah, it's thrown a lot of us for a loop for sure.
I was going to say, it's been definitely a new life.
Yeah, 100%. So. Yeah.
As an introvert, I kind of liked it because I don't like leaving the house a lot.
I'm the same. So I am like a pure introvert. A friend of mine once gave me and I know like personality tests, they are not like perfect, entities or whatever, but she was in training to be a counselor basically. And for one of her classes, they had to administer the MBTI, I think it's called, to someone, which gives you like
one of the alphabet tests, whatever.
So I am an INTJ, but even amongst like the like dualities of the 4 like letters or whatever, there's like a scale, basically. You aren't necessarily purely one or the other. You might just have tendencies more to one or the other. And so I, like in the introversion versus extroversion, I literally scored 0 points, which means like I am a true introvert. So although like there has been like anxiety around the pandemic and like some of like the just social upheaval right now, like really bad for me. But like being alone most of the time is actually not so bad for me because it's where I energize. So
my immune system's a piece of crap, so that's why I've been staying in a lot. Yes. I would like to go to more than 2 places, not including doctor's offices.
Yeah,
I would say I'm an introvert, but I've also the past month for sure I've been like feeling the isolation and the depression that comes with it.
That. This has been like so great for me, and like with TikTok too, like which has been like great like meeting you and like some other people through that channel of, and it's just been like enough social interaction for me that it kind of holds me over a little bit, but I do miss some personal interaction more than I thought I would, even though it's been better for me than most.
I'm an introvert, but I have that little shit that I can go into customer service, Meghan.
Yeah.
Which is really bizarre.
People please.
Because it happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm approachable. I don't know what it is. I'm like, I'm going to do a TikTok later about this. It's nothing to do with disabilities, but this elderly gentleman in farmer overalls came up to me. He's like, "Do you know where the laxatives are?" I was in CVS, and I'm like, "Over there." And then he's asking me which works best, and I'm like, "I don't know."
Is there a camera somewhere?
Yeah, I was like, "There's gummy bear ones over there. That might be tasty."
Did he think he worked there?
I don't. I was wearing this shirt with a flannel and my Converse shoes. And he's like, "Well, I'm taking care of this 87-year-old man. He just doesn't. He keeps telling me he can't go. He just wants to go, and he can't go." I'm like, "Okay." I go, "There's the liquid. That'll probably go through faster." You're wrong. But yeah,
send him off with a bottle of pure castor oil.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's magnesium.
Magnesium. Yeah, I was like, if you really want to get him to go,
you held that man's life in your hand.
I was like, how fast can he move?
Oh god.
You might need some Depends with that. Here you go.
Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, the Depends are right over here. It's like, oh, you used to have to wear. My dog,
like,
I have
would
a
you
dog
like
with
a job
that.
application?
Yeah. Well, I went up to the pharmacy tech because I was there to get prescriptions. And I'm like, so I demand 10 minutes of pay from CVS. And they're like, what'd you do? I'm like, I don't know. But this guy, I told him the whole story, and they're like, yeah, we would have said the same thing. I'm like, okay, good.
Kind of how at a restaurant, if you don't pay, you have to go and do the dishes. Well, hey, I did some work, so what do I get for free?
Right?
I know. I wish I could use CVS bucks for, for my prescriptions, but no.
Oh, no.
But I bought neon green nail polish, so, it's not a loss.
So kind of worth it.
It was a trade.
Yeah, kind of worth it. I was like, what is going on? I mean, he looked like the farmer people. Like, I grew up in the country, and so he reminded me of farmer, I forget his last name, that he lived. He threatened to shoot us because we looked like groundhogs. I don't know where that
Oh, God.
We were kids, yeah.
Don't go on my
And you
lawn.
go, Podunk, Noblesville, Indiana.
see.
Watch out. Yeah, exactly. Like, we're not that small. We're children. But he was friendly, so.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And with the mask on, you can't see me being like, really, dude? I mean, come on.
Right.
Do I look like I work here?
Oh, no.
Just a question that I have for the two of you, Marilyn and Megan. So I'm a little curious. Like, I know Marilyn met you on TikTok, but was there a particular video or something that you guys, like, interacted on to officially meet?
Oh, I can't remember which one it was.
I don't know.
I don't know. We've been talking for, like, so many weeks now.
Yeah.
So I just don't remember. I'm guessing it was
curious.
I wouldn't be surprised if it was like one of my song videos, but I don't know.
I don't remember. I mean, I can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago.
I feel like you.
I mean, true. It's one of those
it might have
things.
been my TikTok witches. Like
Both of you spend a lot of time on TikTok, from what I understand.
Yeah.
I know you do for sure. So.
Yeah.
Well, what did you say?
I know Marilyn spends a lot of time on TikTok to pin down.
Me too. Now my husband's like, he has banned me from showing him anything from TikTok.
Oh, I made my boyfriend get his own TikTok because he was always sitting there watching me scroll mine.
Oh, yeah, and then the algorithm gets thrown off. My For You page is the weirdest For You page I have ever.
Mine is such a weird amalgamation, yeah.
I was so curious. So what kind of stuff do you put out, Megan? I mean, I've seen some of Marilyn's stuff, but I need to watch your channel.
I'm trying. It's first of all, I guess I should put my name out, my TikTok handle. I guess it's scoliosis spelled SCOLIOSYS the numbers 42. Because I have scoliosis, and 42 is my roller derby number, and I just didn't want to spell it with the normal way. So that's been my handle on a lot of places, that name.
Yeah.
Well, that actually pulls us into topic a lot about what our episode is about.
Why are you here, Megan?
I am here because I am disabled and proud. I don't know.
But
no, I think we got in contact. I was like, I have, I'm a novice pagan. I'm not sure what. I just say eclectic, mostly.
Yeah.
Because I don't really fall into any category. And also nature hates me because I'm allergic to most of it.
Yes.
So,
like, I am not agreeing.
My allergy
it's allergies. I'm not allergic to rabbits, though. We found that out was very strange. Mm-hmm. A lot of the stuff I do, I do a lot of reading. I have a little bookshelf over here, which I can shove the books in because of my family, they saw those, which I haven't seen my family probably, I don't know, the last time I saw them. They would definitely be a little upset. I have I can never remember. Is it the circle around the star, pentagram?
Pentacle. Or pentagram, yeah.
Pentacle, yeah. Yeah, so I wear that, and then I have moldavite, actual moldavite that I wear. So I cleanse those, and I do a lot of, I go to the dollar store and raid the tea candles.
I feel like you're really going to like our episode 1, too. Because obviously you haven't heard our episode 1 of season 2 yet.
No.
but it's about like how we identify with our paganism in our titles and the way society looks at it. Yeah.
And then those are the most tools the pretty rocks and I'm like shiny. And
all of us are so drawn to crystals.
I'm like, I don't know what this is, but it's purple and I like it, so
that's going on
because purple is what I'm
so mine.
Yeah. I don't have an altar yet because if my parents came in and were like, what's that? I'd be like, I don't know. Because when I told you before, my friends, they raise a rabbitry or have a rabbitry and they have a chicken farm. And of course, with having a farm, some rabbits are going to be used for food. And I go over there. They made me the executive director of socializing baby rabbits. I don't know.
I mean, it's
such a hard job.
It's official. And my friend is going to give me a pelt of one of the rabbits so I can put that on my altar.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So it'll be a little strange being like, hey, I played with you a little bit.
Well, that's nice. It's like from a friend and that it's meaningful.
Yeah,
that's really
it is, and he's so nice. He's like, do you have any gay best friends? And I was like, no, I don't. And he goes, do you have any trans best friends? And I'm like, no, I don't. And he's like, okay, I'm taking bus slots. I'm like, okay,
lovely,
fine.
I love it.
Yeah. I don't mind telling what disabilities I have if you want me to go into that.
Yeah, I know that was kind of something that you had mentioned that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do on my my TikTok. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Not at all.
Disability, but I have met a lot of cool people that we're all over the spectrum of disabilities, and but from blind people in wheelchairs, people, a young lady that has Down syndrome, she was really upset because, with COVID, we've been cooped up.
Yeah. And
she doesn't have any social interaction. So I'm like, I messaged her mom. I'm like, I'll send her a letter with a picture of my bird and my dog,
Aww.
So yeah, I want to be an advocate for people, not just I'm an advocate for myself. My other person that is grooming, that's a bad word, for me to be a disability advocate. I've been having a lot of Zoom meetings with people, but my disabilities, like I said, I have I have very bad anxiety, depression, bipolar type 2, and the brain injuries. I had at least 10 concussions. I was in roller derby. So,
I've always wanted to do that, but I'm scared of everything, so never have.
I know people who are in roller derby, and I'm like, you are a badass, because I could not.
That's what you're a badass bitch.
Well, the reason so we knew I had scoliosis. They knew something was wrong with me when I came to the world because everyone is cooing over me. And my dad's like, "Hey, why is her leg behind her head?" Because I didn't have the proper joint sockets for it in my hips. So started out with that. Then I was in gymnastics, because I was very flexible, and they're like, her shoulders are uneven. Found out I have severe scoliosis. Like, I forget, like age 4 to 6. I had my first surgery when I was 11 years old. My spine was crushing my heart and my lung at that point. And then they told me at the surgery, because they had complications, that I was never going to walk again.
Oh, wow.
Which leads into me to do snowboarding, snow skiing, roller derby, ice hockey, taekwondo. Because I'm stubborn.
Yeah, you're like, I'm doing all the things for as long as I can do the things. Yeah.
Watch me.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
And my second surgery was January 2nd of 2018, and now my full spine is fused.
Oh, wow.
So I'm very limited as to, looking over. I fall a lot anyway. And roller derby too. I also broke my leg, my tib fib, and my ankle bones. I've had 10 surgeries on that.
Dang.
Wow.
So I call it Franken ankle.
Yeah.
My family thinks I'm so weird because I put names on everything that's wrong with me. But
you know, sometimes
you have
like
a sense of humor about it.
Yeah, I'm like the little thing I had removed back here. They're like, "Have you ever hit your head?" I'm like, "Oh, how many times?"
Oh, no.
What time are you talking about?
Yeah,
I've come to find that if you have a sense of humor about some of the negative things that have happened to you in your life, there's a new way to look at things, and you can lighten your own spirit almost.
Yeah, it helps a lot with my anxiety. Yeah. I'll tell you that.
Well, it sounds like it's been like a big shift then for you too, because you were like super active and like whatnot.
Yes.
So
it has been.
So that's definitely affected your life in a lot of ways. Has it affected your craft at all? How you practice or?
Yeah, I'm limited. Like, I belong to a Druid grove here in Bloomington, Indiana.
Can we pause? Can you tell our viewers what Druidry is in your eyes? Obviously practices vary and like whatever and anything, but like, what is it to you? How do you practice Druidry or?
Okay. Well, I feel it as a connection to nature, and I love all animals. You know, I don't care how icky they are. I got a phase with it. But what got me back into it was that I kept seeing broad-shouldered hawks like every day. They even started showing up on our fence, and I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go back. I felt like that was a sign from something. I don't know what. Yeah. So it's just, it's almost like it's calmed me down a little bit with my disability. So like I can go on TikTok and, learn about other people's ways of practicing things. Like I said, I can't do very much. Yeah. I'm reading up a lot on stuff. I make a lot of notes. Like I have so many notebooks and stuff.
Well, to me, like even just like obviously I don't identify as a druid, but like to me, like learning about past practices and learning what you can is a huge part of being and living that lifestyle. Yeah. 100%.
And I came from a family. My grandfather was a Nazarene minister, and so. Which surprises a lot of people because of the way I am, because they're very strict. But I don't want to stomp on someone else's religion, my parents raised me very well to accept everybody. And my husband is actually, I would say he's borderline atheist at this point. But he's very supportive of what I'm doing. He's like, go talk to your gods or something, but he's like being jokey about it. Right. So
do you have any specific gods or goddesses that you worship?
I'm trying to figure out which ones. That's
right. No, I'm just curious because I don't know.
Yeah. I know my friends, they their pantheon is like the Hellenic gods, goddesses. I've seen their altar. And you couldn't tell it was an altar if you looked at it.
Oh, wow.
Like, oh, that's a cool sword on your table there.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, they're like, that's our altar. I'm like, oh, sorry.
Yeah. Well, so many things can be so many things to so many different people. Like,
yeah, like your altar is your herb shelf.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
Yeah.
What's funny?
I would love more herbs. I'm sorry, I need herbs. Our herbs that we have are from when we got married 16 years ago, and they're still in our kitchen. And I'm like,
I've got some old ass herbs.
I'm like, give me all the herbs. I want all of them. I want every single one.
I just want some bay leaves so I can.
She has a
Beauty and the
jar.
Beast tribute on TikTok to my love of my herbs the other day.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's problem too. Is I'm allergic to some of them, so I'm like, okay, I as long as I don't touch them or like eat them.
I was so allergic to dill as a child that if I ate dill, like I would puke like nonstop the rest of the day
and taste it forever.
Oh god! And like I have an onion allergy, which is bizarre. Onions and everything, by the way. Yeah, and
a lot of seasoning flavor.
Yeah, and so we have to be very careful because it triggers like what you the stomach issues, migraines, hives. It's fun. But I would love to get more into the herbalism portion of that kind of stuff. I know it. I'm not. I guess that's kind of like a kitchen witch, maybe.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
I'm eclectic myself, but kitchen witchery is like
my main jam. I'm so excited to be
homeschooling
because we're doing the whole year on plants, so I get to learn all of the herbs and.
So you're going to be our herbology
foraging soon.
Guess what I learned today about this herb?
Right?
Yeah. So I'm just as excited to learn as he is. I mean, I'm probably more excited. He's over it, but.
I'm like, and then I just told my husband, I just got a new job, and of course I'm like, oh, I can buy this stuff now, and because there's a lot of small businesses on TikTok that cater to our way of, doing our stuff, and I'm like, I mean, my first purchase was not from anything; it was from Edwin McCain, and it says Gen X Unite and Ignore the T-shirt. So, obviously, I'm spending my money wisely.
So you were talking about how you are a druid, and you started talking a little bit about how you define that, and you got in your herbery. So, that's not really a word, I don't think. You're talking about your herbery?
My herbery. I'll take that. I will take that.
English language and all we can turn it into.
It is now a thing.
Can we submit it to the Oxford Dictionary? If they can put irregardless in there, you can put herbery.
Yes.
Right.
So, but you were talking about
her altar needs a sign that just says herbery right there.
Oh my god. It's happening. I have a cricket.
Neon. Like Luke's neon and everything.
Yes. Herbery. So you were talking about how you are driven, but you have like a group or something that you sometimes participate in.
Yes.
They have. So how did you get connected with that, and how do you guys practice together? Are there are there limitations sometimes because of your disability? Yeah. Like, how does that work?
Well, I found them during, just a lot of my friends are pagan. Yeah. And it's called Black Bear Grove. It's part of the ADF. I don't know how to pronounce the words because they're in Irish. And Irish is really hard to say.
True story, as someone who's been there and listened to them like say things, and sometimes you'd read it and be like, what?
I can say Ish Misha Meghan, and that's about it.
Shlanta.
If you're going to ask where the crack's at, and that means where's the party at. So,
I tried to get it on Duolingo once to try and learn it, and I was just like, this is hard.
My husband is doing that, but I don't think he's learning anything, to be honest. And he's very smart, but just not in that. Yeah. He's more like sciencey.
Gotcha.
And I'd love to learn it. I just learned like curse words and in ASL.
What all of us want to really learn about another language.
Yeah, I'm like,
foremost.
You don't know I'm cussing you out, but I am. But yeah, I've been to Ireland actually, and before times, and it just
what brought you to
amazing.
Ireland?
I've always wanted to go, and we think, as everybody thinks they do, Ireland ancestry, or Irish ancestry. You know the word
ancestry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. So it was going to be my 40th birthday, and so we went during May, my birthday. I'm right at the cusp of Taurus and Gemini, so. Yeah, I'm a little bit stubborn, and then, the rest. But we went over there just to celebrate just our wedding anniversary. I forget which one it was, because I lost track of time during COVID. And me turning 40, and I had, it was amazing. It was so beautiful, and it didn't rain a day that we were over there. I specifically bought shoes for rain and a raincoat. Yeah. And it didn't rain a damn day. And I'm like, what?
I was there for a month, and it can be pretty sporadic. So that's pretty amazing.
Well, we're coming home, and we're flying into O'Hare, and my husband's like, don't look out the window. And I'm like, why? And then the ding ding. I'm like, what are you not telling me? Because I have the severe phobia of thunderstorms, and the lady, who's kind Irish lady next to me, she's like, ma'am, I have the solution. It's really calming. I'm like, just give it to me. So, and we shut the blind, but we flew into a severe storm, which was, I hate flying, so I'm scared of it. Yeah. And then we're in this thunderstorm, which is just like.
Were you above the ocean?
No, this was in overall.
Yeah, you said.
Yeah, that would have been the third factor. That would have been like the.
Yeah.
Oh my God! If we were over the ocean in a storm, I would. Yeah, I would not be here if we were over an ocean.
I refuse to travel over an ocean. No.
It's scary.
It is scary.
My first time traveling alone on a plane at all, was to Ireland by myself.
Yeah, no.
First plane ride.
I was in college my first time by myself, and that was just to Kansas.
It was my first time was going to basic training.
But I can fly little prop planes. I do have knowledge to do that. So if we're going down and we're in a prop plane, I'll be like, I can do this.
Get out of the way. I'm going to be the hero.
Bitch, get out the way. Get out the way. Yeah. No, but Ireland, it just was so beautiful. You'd be just driving, and it'd be regular houses, and then the castle.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That'd be so cool.
And I'm still mad though, because I guess our motor coach went over on a ferry, and I was asleep because they had us going, getting up early so we could get to the attraction earlier before everyone else, which was amazing. But my husband's like, oh, you're asleep. We just crossed on a ferry. I'm like, why didn't you wake me up? I'm so mad about that. I'm so mad about that. I'm holding a grudge on that forever. So
I've had some friends that have had injuries, and over time they said that when the weather changes they can feel it beforehand or during.
My God.
And how is that?
Yes. It is horrible. I hate to sound like a pessimist, but we had rain over here yesterday, and I've actually had I just got new medication for a week-long migraines that I was having. And that has nothing to do with my disabilities, but my ankle is you can see every indentation of my sock, and then I swear I can feel the rods in my back. Because they started my lower cervical vertebrae, and they go all the way down to two giant, looks like knives, into my pelvis. And so I'm like, oh, there's a new pain today. So I've been dealing with that today.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bring up a sensitive thing, but at the same time,
no, it's not. I mean,
well, I mean, so I'm kind of coming at this from a different perspective too, because my boyfriend's my mother-in-law almost, is handicapped. And basically, she had 2 brain aneurysms, and now she is bedridden, and she has to be tube fed, and needs 24-hour care and stuff. So basically, what I'm curious about is like being her caretaker. I sometimes want to help her like recover, get better, and I know that she's already years and years ago been through rehabilitation. That's when she had her second aneurysm, and so. I guess what I want to know from you, given your experience through so many surgeries, so many rehabilitations, through the brain injuries, what was it that like helped you personally persevere through when you kind of were in those down and out moments that you didn't think that you'd be able to make it? Because I mean, me personally, I've never been there, not like in that same exact way physically, and I can't always relate to her. And I want to know, like, because she can't speak and, like, communicate in the way that we can.
So the best you can do is try and find people that maybe can give you their view, like, insight, yes.
Exactly.
Not to say that it be her experience, but to try and help you understand. Yeah.
Right, like, well, because there's a part of me that, from her own son, has heard that, at one point in time when she was going for it, she really had that ambition and she had that drive. But then after her second one that set her back, she just kind of gave up and lost hope. And so this is years and years down the road. Like, I mean, a good 10, 15 at least, maybe even 20.
Yeah.
But, like, if there was anything, if you were in that sort of a state that helped you when you were in that sort of state.
Or at least having, injuries and things like that. I mean,
Yeah, like, what sort of advice can you offer to people that might be in that sort of situation to help them get through it and get better? And
if you can find, like, a way of communicating to her, like, my husband, he can tell when I'm in pain, and I'm really stubborn about it. I don't like taking my pain medication because I don't want to be seen as a drug seeker. And he's like, you need to get your ass in there and take it. I mean, and he's just like, when I'm having, for instance, having my head injuries, along with already having depression and anxiety and everything else, it amplifies those depression. Like, I had this quote that I thought that I made up just one night in my brain injury support group that one of them I go to, and it says, my disabilities are invisible, but I am not an invisible person. And once I started all this, it's just like a whirlwind of like, okay, you have rehab on Wednesday, you have rehab on Thursday, you have support groups on Mondays, they're giving me homework to do.
Did you become overwhelmed when all that was happening?
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Sounds kind of like
I became overwhelmed when the neuropsychologist was like, you do not need to multitask anymore. Because I was taking on a lot more than I could do that before. I was taking classes for an informatics certificate because Indiana was offering a free classes at Ivy Tech, which is like a community college. And I had to drop the classes because I was just getting really overwhelmed. And my husband was like, they're free. You're not doing anything. It's too much weight on you to do this right now. And I had to hear it from like 3 or 4 people, but I felt like it was a failure for not doing that. And now that I've dropped those classes, I have a huge weight off my shoulder, but still things they're just hard. It's hard to get a job because I have to write stuff down. I have Post-it notes everywhere. I have the sticky notes on my computer screen. I have alarms set for a single day. I had 3 alarms set for today, even though I knew what day it was and what time. And I just, I can't rely on my brain to remember anything.
Well, I think this brings up then, though, a really important point about like accessibility and accommodation. Like more generally, in our society, it could be so much better, and it just
if people just understood that, we're still people too. We're not we're same as kind of maybe not same as the inside, but I mean, like the quote, I'm not invisible. My disabilities are invisible. I have a handicap placard.
Yeah.
I don't look my age. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
can you tell our viewers what that is? Yeah.
Yeah, it is a collagen or connective tissue disorder. Mm-hmm. Mainly affects the most common one, I believe. It affects your joints, so they dislocate or sublux, which is like partially dislocate very easily. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of other things that they're discovering now with it. And I have all these other comorbidities. I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. Because like I'll turn over in bed at night, my kneecap will slip out.
Yeah. Wow.
And my mom has the issue, but not as bad as me. Makes it really easy to stitch up your ears because so you can put larger gauges in easily. But I can't do more than 25 minutes of like cardio type, like running. Or I am not able to run anymore because of my ankle. Sometimes it doesn't pick up, and
I would imagine that this kind of creates a lot of, going back though to that accessibility and accommodation, it probably closes off so many spaces and places because they aren't built or meant really to meet the needs of people that have these kinds of issues. So it's... with
the Druid group that I'm with, they do a lot of their rituals outside. We've been doing them this way, which was really funny because one of my roller derby teammates was on the first one that I was there. I was like, Gary had a fire, scoliosis, and I'm like, what's up? So
you too, huh?
But, so that made things a lot easier because I tend to talk myself out of stuff. Yeah. Because I get really scared. Like my husband's like, "You're still doing the podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Right?" I'm like, "Yes," and he's like, "I don't want you to talk yourself out of it." I'm like, "I'm not."
And we're super glad we're here. That you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did it.
But like also to accessibility for the doing rituals outside. Mm-hmm. I'm going to have to ask them, hey, am I able to do this? Am I able to, I mean, I have a cane. I have 3 canes in the house right now. Mm-hmm. I have 2 walkers downstairs. I have crutches. I have a walking boot in my car because I tend to sprain my ankle easily, even though it's fused. I have for my car as well, since my torso is completely fused. Mm-hmm. I have to sit on a cushion, like it's a cushion, but it rotates. Mm-hmm. So I can like turn this way and stuff to see where, cars are coming. Because, and I used to like driving and now I absolutely hate it. I can listen to podcasts and music in there and sing along and stuff. So I guess it's the only bonus from it. But accessibility is a big issue. Mm. And there's a lot of employers too that are very stubborn on that, which sucks. The last place I worked for, they were telling me, they told me I was asking too many questions. Mm-hmm. I'm not remembering stuff. This was before I was diagnosed with a brain injury. And I got let go. Yeah. And I got paid for the first time in March, and I hadn't had any income since August. So, because I'm fighting unemployment, they said it was just cause. But now that we have the brain diagnosis, it might. I've been waiting since October to hear back from them. Oh. So, but luckily I had my husband and my parents. I feel like at my age, my parents shouldn't be supporting me, but they always have. They always have my back, and
that's good.
And like my husband, he's like, I wish my family was like your family. And it's really frustrating, especially when people do not believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had to deal with that with my rape, especially, where people don't.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And then suffering PTSD from that trauma, and then people don't believe in that the trauma even happened.
Like, yeah. It's, I mean, just because you can't see it doesn't mean there's something wrong. I mean, you're not wrong. You've had an issue. You need to be, people need to be able to treat you and be fair and be like, okay, you've had this issue. Let's work on it. Let's get comfortable.
There's sort of a general lack of empathy sometimes.
Yes,
and particularly when it can't be seen.
Yeah, and I'm a super empathetic person. Like, I get exhausted sometimes when I
I feel other people's needs before I feel my own needs.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's why I'm approachable at not random CVSs, by random men asking for laxatives. So there you go.
You're just an approachable person.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I just wish more people would be more compassionate to other people, because I feel like all of us should know that every one of us is going through their own bag of shit. And if we were less judgy toward each other, then maybe, people could lighten up on each other and let each other deal with their shit instead of having to have all that judgment on top of it.
Yeah, or denying, like, oh, you look fine.
Right.
You're not, there's nothing wrong with you. Like I said, I have a handicap placard. If I'm going to, like, my pain has been very bad these last few months. I just got a clinical diagnosis of fibromyalgia. So I don't know.
My dad has that, I believe.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but
it's all I know is my inflammatory markers were high because I tested at a rheumatologist, and they wanted to make sure I didn't have rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or anything like that.
That's like a pain thing, right?
It makes your nerves flare up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I thought it was because I hurt in this my lumbar region on the left side of my back, where they actually moved my spine. And for the longest time, we're like, oh, it's just weird because your muscles are getting used to not having your spine there, blah, blah, blah. Right. Here it is 3 years later, and I'm still having, like last night, I was, I had my lidocaine patch on and everything, but I just could not it just hurt so badly.
Yeah.
And
so with all of this being said, are there some things or some tips or tricks that you have for, making things more accessible or like more accommodating, like just in sort of general, but also specifically like within people who practice paganism or Druidry or in those sorts of spaces.
Yeah, I mean, if you see someone that's struggling, ask them if they need help. I mean, some people, like me at first, I'd be like, no, I'm fine, get away. Just be like, okay, well, if you need help, just let me know.
Mm-hmm. Leave the door
open.
I feel guilty asking for help. I'm that stubborn.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
When it's offered, it's a lot easier to receive it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than to seek it out.
I mean, even with me and my issues, like if I were to see someone struggling, like, hey, can I help you or whatever? And they're like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, okay, well, if you have any questions, let me know.
Yeah.
Is that customer service, Meghan?
And yes, that is
customer service that comes out. And if I see that wandering eye, I'm like, can I help you with something? Are you finding everything okay?
Yeah. And the problem is, too, is I know where everything is in CVS because it's like my Cheers.
Right.
Like, they all know my name there.
Right.
Even like just the retailer. But, I mean, the other thing, too, is what I have a lot of issues with is, people don't believe me that I'm actually having a problem. And they're like, oh, you'll be fine. Just, calm down. I hate that.
Yeah.
If I'm having a panic attack, that's the worst thing you can say to someone. Calm down. And I'm like, how? My brain is on this path thinking I am in mortal danger.
Yeah. They tell you to take deep breaths, and you're just like, but I don't want to. I'm mad. I don't want to sit here and breathe.
I'd rather hyperventilate right now and pass out.
At one point, mine got so bad that every time I heard, like, the wind blow through my house or, like, the walls crack, I would literally think that the house was going to cave in.
Yeah.
And, like, I would tell that to my boyfriend, and, like, he's like, oh, yeah, I think that too sometimes, but, like, I know he doesn't
feel it
in his, like, his heart racing.
And it's hard to explain.
Like, I literally thought my house was going to blow over.
I literally feel like it's going to.
Yeah. Anxiety support group right here.
That's why I'm surprised we made it to season 2. Yeah. Because my, like, anxiety made it through that.
If I see a handicap tag or on their license plate or hanging, and I can tell you can't tell if someone's handicapped or not.
Right.
I mean, I've been chased down in a parking lot for parking in a handicapped spot more than once. Yeah. At least 3 times.
Yeah, because it's not visible.
Yeah.
And they think that they're being respectful to the disabled people by chasing down somebody that's parking in their spot, but they're the person that's supposed to be parking in that spot, and now you're attacking them.
So in part, your advice is, mind your business.
Thanks for trying.
Parking in a handicapped space, and they are supposed to be parking there. Do not chase after them. That is not your job in life.
No.
Well, my support person, advocate, disability, trying to get me on this stuff. Her name is Victoria. She was amazing. She's like, you need a lanyard with a picture of your x-ray of your spine, so when you go into places where you're handicapped,
just flash it at people.
Like, look, does this look normal?
People don't need to cross that boundary.
That's
they
right. You don't have an explanation.
That you have the placard and that you parked there confidently.
People, and I had to tell my friend if she's driving somewhere. Like, I remember one night we went to Target and we had my handicap tag because Target's a lot of walking. Yes.
I used to work there 7 years.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so glad to be out. It was great. Yeah. The people there were great, but the structure changed so often and usually not for the better.
Yeah. But like, she got out of the car. She started dancing when she got out of the car.
Yeah.
I'm like, Jess, you cannot do that. She's like, why? I'm like, people are going to think, we're stealing, we stole our grandparents'
handicap placard.
And because, like, one of her twins has brown hair, the other one has blonde hair. And so they think we're taking our kids out together. Yeah. I'm like, Jess, I love you to death. But
you can feel the judging eyes.
And, she's like, why were they looking at me like that? I'm like, oh my God. You are not this dense. So, but it's.
But it sucks that society's like that.
Yeah, and they want to sometimes
the worst and judging.
Yeah, sometimes people I feel like they want to start a conflict. Like, I hate to use the word social justice warrior, or white knight. Yeah. But I hate using those terms because I think they're dumb, kind of. But
they said it in
the incorrect way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there are like some instances where that's kind of what's happening. Yeah. And it's negatively affecting the situation. Yeah.
If people are just more open-minded and not like so judgmentally, like, oh, you're in a handicapped spot, maybe they're not really handicapped. Mm-hmm. I mean, I get mad at people that don't have any tags. Yeah. And just pull up to the spot. Right. And it's usually like, make my own freaking parking spot.
Right.
Yeah, like the big ass pickup trucks.
Right.
Yeah,
and then they park across like 7 different spaces.
And then as they leave, the coal rolling out, and I'm like,
right.
So, and I'm like,
or the people sitting in the cars waiting for their wives.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had that happen when I went to CVS. There weren't any handicapped spots open. They were in the first one, right in the building, just sitting there. And I'm like, really?
Trevor tries to do that shit.
Wow.
He'll park in like the fire zone and then be like, go ahead and run in, babe. And I'll like, no, fucking go park somewhere.
No, yeah,
not here. I'm not letting you fucking embarrass me like that.
I would not let my husband do that. I'd be like, you get your ass out of this lane. You have a handicap tag. And because he has this thing, he thinks everybody drives horribly. And he just gets car sick. I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
But I'm like, fine, you can drive. I hate driving. That works out beautifully.
My PTSD flares up so bad when anybody else is driving, especially when we go on like the highway. And he doesn't give no fucks. We'll go on the highway all the time. When he's driving.
I hate getting on the highway.
I sit there paranoid that we're going to die all the time.
That's how my mom is.
Oh, no.
If I'm driving, my mom will be in the passenger seat. And she will let out these little, she's like 90 pounds, all right? But she's tough as shit. I mean, they raised me throughout being sick and all this crap. And, but she screams every time I drive with her. She's like, you're going too fast. I'm like, Mom, it's like 60 miles per hour here. You stopped too suddenly. I'm like, I stopped, so you're too close to the back of that car. I'm like,
I always drive more cautiously when my mom is in the car with us. So whenever we leave the house, my mom always says, look 3 times, drive like I'm in the car with you. And she means it because she knows that when she's in the car with you, I'm on my shit.
You
When I was a teenager, I was a lot crazier, but now I've learned my lessons.
Granted, I learned my lesson from driving or being in the car with you when you were a teenager, and now I just always drive.
Yeah, no.
I used to be way different then than I am now.
Yeah.
Especially as a mom.
Yes, that too.
Yeah.
I like driving alone because I can belt out music, take my time.
Yeah.
I've been listening to what is it? It's the reimagined The Greatest Showman with like Panic at the Disco and Pink and Kesha on it.
Oh, nice.
I'm like, yes, I am 41 years old and I am listening to Panic at the Disco.
That's right.
Because
you know anyone that tuned in loved it.
Go for it.
I know. My husband's like, you really need to stop singing. It's midnight, please. I'm like, go put your earbuds in, chill.
Like, never. So I'm so glad I'm pretty much alone at the moment. I can whip out whatever, whenever.
I was just like, I'm going to sing.
Yeah. And the shower, the song, the Panic at the Disco version of Victorious came on, mixed with Backstreet's it was some mashup with Backstreet Boys.
Yeah.
Here we are, we're back again.
Everything you need, you better rock
your body now. Everybody.
Sorry. I didn't like boy bands at all.
That was all of our shit, man. Don't worry. It's good.
But I found that mix on YouTube, and I'm like, it was the Victorious from Panic at the Disco, because we were Victorious last night in D&D. I'm like,
nice.
And I'm belting that out. My husband's like, honey. I'm like, go, just go. So I'm like, this is my show. so yeah, my throat's a little scratchy, and I heard it when I played it before I got on here, just to give me a little. Music is a very therapeutic thing for me.
Oh, same.
Like, I played cello from grade school through college. My minor is in music. I played cello, piano, violin, a little guitar, a little ukulele.
Nice.
But it's gotten harder to do since my fingers have decided to become sausages in the morning. So that's what they tested me for rheumatoid arthritis and everything else. They're like, you are inflamed. I'm like, yes, I know I'm inflamed. So
it's that gluten.
I actually, they're like, you need to watch your, I guess there's such a thing as a gluten intolerance.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I've heard more lately.
Yeah.
I heard that most humans actually are not very.
I'm thinking that might be one of Dylan's, but I'm semi-ignorant to knowing what all gluten is in.
I don't know nothing about it, really. I'm just hearing more and more about it.
Like, I tested that I was allergic to it, so, like, we had to reintroduce stuff. Like, peanut butter, I reintroduced myself just taking small little bites. Mm-hmm. And then other time, like, I was allergic to bananas for 10 years. Ooh. And then when they did the allergy test again, it came up negative. Oh, yeah. So I went out and bought some fucking bananas because I miss those things. And
she's like, hell
so
yeah.
I had like 4 bananas in like maybe 2 days or maybe the whole day. I don't remember. But then the next time I had them, I started getting mouth sores, like, stuff again. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I probably just overloaded this. Yeah. But if I'm lactose intolerant too, which my husband, he calls it Meghan milk on on our list. I'm like, can't you just say milk and you know what you get your own milk?
Is it almond milk?
Yeah.
Is it almond milk that you get, or what kind of milk do you have to get?
I get the lactose-free milk.
Just my son drinks.
And he won't drink it. He says it tastes funny. I'm like, you drink 1% milk, dude.
It's an acquired thing.
Yeah. I love homogenized milk or like the red colored milk.
Yeah.
The red one.
So, and then, but yeah, I'm allergic to pineapple now too, which is, I am so mad. I love pineapple. Some things, like, I don't like onions, so I'm like, I don't care if I'm allergic to them. But like I feel bad for people when they make food. Like if we're like, say we're at a kitchen, like when we have our first ritual outside or something, they're like, we have pigeons, and it's gotten to the point nowadays that people will label what's in their food.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can be like,
people's diets.
I'm like, sometimes people are like, oh, wait, this does have scallions in it, or onion, but I can have garlic. Thank fucking gods, because I freaking love garlic.
Oh yeah. Oh, life without garlic.
And garlic is good for a lot of things too.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I want to delve more into with this whole witchy thing is I am learning more and more that there are such benefits to herbs.
Yeah.
And roots
that's
and
what
different foods and
I heard turmeric's good for inflammation or something.
Yeah, I've heard stuff about turmeric, arrowroot. I've heard that even like certain ones when they work together, like black peppercorn that helps you absorb turmeric? I forget what it is, but it helps you absorb some other ones when you eat them together.
Well, I mean, like they say, if you don't drink grapefruit juice or have a grapefruit if you're taking this pill, because this will happen. I mean,
like, I don't know.
Drugs originally came from nature. I mean, aspirin came from tree bark. So
interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, my degree's in public health. I want to be an epidemiologist.
Oh, that's so interesting. Oh my gosh, you have this whole other layer to you. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. It's public health administration.
Oh, okay.
But the public health was up in Indianapolis at the time, and my husband just got the job at where he has the job now, and I'm like, well, we got engaged on my birthday one day.
Happy birthday! Will you
one day? Yeah.
That's cool.
It was weird. I was like, oh, this restaurant we were going to go to, it was closed on that day, and I'm like, oh, we'll just go home. He's like, no, we can't. I'm like, okay. But then, like 7 years later, they moved the School of Public Health down to Bloomington. And I'm like, I took the GRE. I'm like, I'm not even submitting it because my I've already had issues and my anxiety had gotten worse.
Yeah.
And anytime I take tests or anything, like if I do go to any learning environment, I do get accommodations. I would love to be an epidemiologist, but do the research side, because if I go out on the field, I'm dead.
Yeah.
My immune system is whacked.
What would that I'm not familiar with that term. What was it called again?
Epidemiology?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the study of diseases and how they spread, like, think of the word epidemic.
Okay, right, gotcha.
So right now, if I would have had my master's in epidemiology, I probably would be working on COVID-19.
Yeah. Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, in my last job, I colored a picture of the COVID-19 virus and had it posted on my desk wall. I'm such a nerd. As far as a disability thing, with practicing paganism, Wicca, anything like that, I mean, just ask. People will tell you if they don't want help or not.
Yeah.
And like, I'm used to be one of those people who are like, no, I don't need help. I can do everything on my own. And then immediately like fall over face first or something. I mean, like I said, I fell over last night.
So,
maybe that'd be some good advice to people.
Yeah, but I think you've provided...
Not to be afraid to ask for help when you need it, and not to reach out to people that
don't be afraid to ask for help.
I think that's all really good advice.
It's a big hump for me to get over. Yeah. Especially with the brain injury stuff.
If there was a life philosophy that you could share or a message that you could put out to others, what would it be?
If you saw me, you wouldn't think anything was wrong with me. I might walk funny. I mean, just don't.
I totally agree.
It sounds totally cliche, but don't judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Apparently I am approachable,
and you're relatable. We've had such a great conversation, and it's been so fun. Oops.
Sam's dropping shit.
And I say,
it's all good.
I'm playing with my crystals at the table, and I drop it.
And anytime someone drops something, I'm like, gravity is such a downer. Such a bad joke. I know. My dad is the king of dad jokes. It's really, really obnoxious. But
I had a boss that gave really corny ones all the time, and it was like my highlight of the day when one of those would happen. Like, yes.
Yeah, it's just, and I love silly stuff like that. But it sounds so, like I said, sounds so
cliche.
Thank you. It was there.
Right there. We heard it. We knew.
Yeah. And, I'm like, because especially, if you see someone struggling, like, I'll crouch down trying to get something, and I will fall over. I mean, my ankle you can't crouch down on it. And it sucks. And people come up like, can I help you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, can you grab this for me? I'm like, I know I don't look disabled, but I'm going to fall over here in 5 seconds. This just being short in general, but now especially, if something's high on a shelf, I don't care. I'm like, if they're going to be mean, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't like climbing on shelves anymore.
Yeah, well, perilous. Even more so now.
Yeah, my husband has he's not letting me go to the grocery store anymore because he's like, I'm not letting you go there. No.
Yeah.
Until everybody's cleared. It's not like he's being controlling or something. He just doesn't want.
They got a lot of grocery delivery things or free pickup a lot going on at some places.
Yeah, so. He's stubborn some ways. But and if I see people that look like they're struggling, or looking at something, and I'm like, oh, can I help you? Is there something I can do? Yeah. I can't do much. But this is what I can do. At my friend's farm, they're making a Meghan accessible bunny turnout because they'll let a mountain run around, but I can't bend over and pet them because, nothing moves. But they're constantly like renovating, and I'll be like, hey, can I help you? And they're like, you know the rules. You're not allowed to get hurt here, and you're not allowed to die here. I'm like, I'll tell you when I'm not feeling right,
So, I feel like what I'm hearing here is be helpful, but I'm going to remember earlier parts of our conversation. Don't force it on people.
Yeah, don't overstep your boundaries,
right.
Yes.
They'll let you know if they actually
sometimes you can just tell when they don't want help. Like, I don't know, if it's a college kid, I'm like, oh, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I might watch him for a second.
Just make sure, kind of.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't reflag you down.
Yeah.
Kind of that customer service thing. You tell the customer, hey, you find everything okay, give them the opportunity, then they're usually like, I'm fine. And then like 2 seconds later, they'll come back around, like, well, actually, no, I'm looking for this. And then you're still right there with the open door.
Right.
Like, yes.
One of the things that I was hearing also earlier was, it reminded me of a quote when I was a kid. I was going through one of those, like, shops, I think in, like, downtown Woodstock or something when we were shopping with Auntie. We were going in and out of these shops. And on one of the plaques, it had this saying, I think it was by George Washington, and I can't quite remember the exact terms, but it reminded me of the philosophy that you were saying. It was something about how, like, the way that you treat the sick and the old will show your character, and eventually when you're sick and old will show how you're treated, like something along those lines. And
that sounds, I really like that.
I wish I could remember. I've tried to look it up in the past, and I swear it was a George Washington quote, but I can't find it.
I'm sure you can find it in Google.
I should just reword it in my own way and call it my own quote.
There you go. like my quote, my disabilities are invisible, but I'm not an invisible person.
Yeah.
So,
Yes, that's going to be on t-shirts with your name on it.
And there was a young lady that I used to work with, and she the workplace that I did work, they were very, very toxic.
Yeah.
I was bullied there, and it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But having panic attacks on Sunday before you go into work is awesome. Not. She makes a lot of I think it's with the circuit cutter or whatever. And I was like, hey, are you still doing this stuff? And she has a TikTok too. I don't remember her TikTok, but
okay.
And I was like, so I'm, it only took 20, 30 years, but I really wanted to get into disability advocacy.
Yeah.
And I've got this quote that I just pulled out of my ass, and she's like, that's awesome,
Right.
So I think we're going to try to collaborate and listen,
I love when people can word things in such a beautiful, simple way that it just strikes you like, oh.
That was just like my one shot for the month right there. Anything else I say is going to be garbage. Like,
oh no.
We can really.
Yeah, but I just, and like, if I find out if someone else has scoliosis, I'll always be like, hey, here's my email.
Yeah. Create some community,
if you have questions,
community and support,
reach out to me. Because I didn't have that when I was a kid. Like, I've had one of the guys on our trip in Ireland, his daughter, like, she has a lot of different things going on. Like, she's wheelchair bound, and I don't think she's verbal. But she has scoliosis, and they were talking about maybe doing what the surgery I had. And he'll reach out to me when he has questions, because she's like in her early teens, I think. And he also may have stolen a Guinness glass from a bar.
Yeah. I know a few college students who did that.
As I'm sure he's the only one that's ever done that.
Well, I was like, I was like, oh, this glass is awesome. It has a harp on it and everything. Yeah. And I'm like, I wonder if I can buy it. And he's like, I'm going to go check. And I came back, and then I went to the bathroom or something, And he came back, he's like, oh, just take it up to your room and finish your Guinness in it. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, they said you could keep it. I'm like, I really don't believe you, but I'm not going to.
I'm going to pretend like I do, though.
I'm going to pretend like it wasn't me. No, so really.
So I feel like we've kind of come around full circle. Crime in Ireland, it's
I want to go back to. I think we're planning for Scotland next when everything gets back to normal.
Cool.
That would be cool. That's where your That's where we had our vacations episode.
Yeah,
that would be where she wants to go when all this is.
I just want to get on the Highlands and be like, there can only be one. So.
Yeah.
I never watched Highlander in my entire life, but that's all I know about it.
So Megan,
this has been awesome.
It's been great talking to you. I feel like we learned so much today.
Yes.
And
I hope that comes. I mean, I was hoping it would help people.
I think that you're just such an episode.
Yeah.
I think you're just such an interesting person, and you've been through so much, and you have a lot of insight to offer others. I learned a lot from your insight. I know others probably did as well. So I'm really glad that you're an advocate, and I'm glad that you're putting yourself out there, and I hope you inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, so thank you to the 50th and favorite grandchild for your for your insights and stories, and for being the very first guest of Midwest Coven Cast.
I'm the first.
Your first appearance, and hopefully not your last.
I'd love to just come hang out with you guys again. You guys are awesome.
This has been so fun. I think that'd be amazing.
One of these days, post-pandemic, we'll have to do this in person. Or
that would be really fun.
Thank you so much for coming. Let me just say
Thank you for having me.
And,
thank you for having me.
Stay in touch.
Yes, stay in touch.
Yes.
And where can people follow you? Can you remind them?
My TikTok it's SCOLIOSYS42. That's the TikTok that I'm on.
Okay, perfect.
I tend to. That's where I'm trying to get interest on that platform.
Perfect.
So
awesome.
And there's a lot more people with disabilities on there that you'd be surprised.
Yes.
So,
absolutely. Well, thank you so much again, Megan.
You guys have a good day.
Have a good day.
Thanks, you too. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
So, ladies, we just had our first guest. How exciting is that?
That was super exciting.
It was. I'm so glad that she came on. So
thanks so
thank
much,
you,
Megan. So it's that time, though. We need to wrap up the episode. And so it's time.
Who is our sponsor this week?
Who do you think our sponsor should be this week, Susie?
I think.
Thoughts.
Well, this week, Marilyn and I just went to a place in DeKalb called Debutantes. It's a student. It's a
cosmetology school, basically.
Yes,
they
exactly.
Do hair and they do. I think they do
skin,
makeup and skin and all kinds
nails.
of stuff. Nails.
Yep.
But we mainly go there to get our hair done every once in a blue moon.
Yeah, Marilyn actually was the one that introduced me, and every time I've gone, I mean, there's been times where I'll go and they always use top quality products like Redken, and they offered me this thing called Olaplex this time, and it made my hair super shiny and super conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, anyways, but what I like about that place is that when you go in, you kind of show them pictures of what you want, and then they
consult with you, basically.
Yeah, they're very upfront and real with you about what to expect. Because I know, I went in there wanting platinum blonde, and they're like, "Well, girl, your hair is brown. You need to kind of safely do that. There's steps that you need to take. And they kind of break it down and explain things to you, so that way you're not damaging your hair either. So, anyways, I find them very valuable for that reason.
Yeah. So pros, additional pros. It's cheaper because they're students. Although I usually try and give them a really good tip at the end.
Their prices are so low in comparison to what you would pay at a salon that the tip that you give to the student at the end
you're still going to come out way less than you would at a normal salon.
Yes,
even if you give them a really good tip. Yeah. But I was going to say the con though is that it takes more time. But they are students. They're consulting throughout with their teachers. Etc. So it's a great deal for the price. It does take a little extra time. So especially if you're getting a full hair dye done or something like that, expect to be there most of the day. Yes. But it's always comes out quality for me. I've never had it where I've left there disappointed. And I have gone to some regular salons before and I've left and I've been meh, So to me, it's A, worth the time, B, worth the money. The students are all really, really nice. Their teaching staff there is also, like, excellent.
And you're also providing someone, a live client, to get familiar with that territory. Because, again, they're a student that's going to be going into that field. So the more they have a live person to work with, they can, you know, they can test the waters, sort of
They far prefer to have our heads than have to work on their mannequin heads. I've heard this sentiment many times from the students.
But so Marilyn has a video out of her transition.
Yes. Did you see my lollipop video where you see my pink hair and I get all sassy?
It was awesome. I loved it. I haven't made mine yet, but I will have another one, or I'll have mine out too that just has the pictures of before, during, and after, because my girl and I, when we were doing it, there were some cool looking things that happened.
Yeah, you'll put those on our Facebook and Instagram pages?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I'll need your help, but yes.
We'll figure it out. We'll schedule it.
Yes. But, so Debutantes in DeKalb.
Yeah, let me see what their website is. It's debschool.com, DEBSCHOOL.com. And I think you can find them on other places too, like Facebook. They are Debutantes School of Cosmetology. So you can like their page. Like I said, they're located in DeKalb, Illinois. So it's kind of Northern Illinois University adjacent. And it's in their really cute downtown area. And if you get there in time, there's also a little store there across the street called Cracker Jacks.
They are really cute.
They're amazing. But so if you're going to go to Deb's in DeKalb, always make sure you make time for Cracker Jacks as well. So I guess this is sort of a double
a double
shout out, but you know what? They're literally across the street.
They're worth a mention as well.
Yeah. So make a day of it. Go with your girlfriends or spouses that just love to go to stuff like that with you, which is amazing.
There you go.
Otherwise, bring your bestie. Or you know what? Bring yourself. Treat yourself for the day.
There you go.
All right. Thanks so much for listening, Coven. Thanks again to Meghan for being our very first guest.
Yes,
and
thank you so much.
See you next week.
See you next time, Coven.
Blessed be.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Midwest Coven Cast.
Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode.
And if you love us, consider leaving us a review.
You can also join our coven by following us on social media.
At Midwest Coven on Twitter and at Midwest Coven Cast on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
You can also find us at MidwestCovenCast.com.
Until next time, Coven, blessed be.